What's going on, everybody? It is me, your one and only digital homie. Say it with me now, Supa Dave. And today, as you can tell, we are joined by the Bearded Fisherman. Many of you
Yo,
guys know
yo.
the Bearded Fisherman. He has been all over the place. He is a content creator, which is bolstering over 1,700 subscribers as of this recording. He is doing everything. We see him in the chats. He's very boisterous, typing in all capital letters just to make sure you see him. I
No,
believe your
no,
name
so
is
I can see.
Mike. Okay,
Yep.
I believe your name is Mike, correct?
Yes. My name is Michael Patrick Hennessy. Um,
Okay, okay.
from the Cognac family, believe it or not, in Ireland at
And
one
you
time.
always say peace from the Northeast. So, where in the Northeast is the bearded fisherman from?
I'm from originally I grew up like Hamden, Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut. And I went to a good school system, and then eventually ended up I ended up going to Wilcox Tech in Meriden, Connecticut, to become HVAC mechanic. And I went there, and actually I didn't learn how to do anything. All I learned how to is party. That was it. Um,
That's usually it, man.
yeah, that's it. And finally got to the edge where somebody was putting acid, blotter acid, the little tabs in my milk at lunchtime. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I went off the wall. Make a long story short, it was a blessing in disguise. I ended up graduating from high school. Uh, I took 6 months early. I never had a graduation or none of that shit. Um, which dude, Dave, I don't know about you, but I missed my graduation, and it's something.
Same.
It sucked.
Yeah.
And but it made me a little tougher, a little rougher than I ever was. My whole life, I was a fighter. I was a fighter my whole life, man. That's how we settled it. I was born in the 1970, dude, and that's how we did it. We didn't have social media. We used to go in the field, the farmer's field around the corner, and duke it out. And needless to say, I could be on this podcast for hours, man, for hours, telling you all the stories, and it wasn't always horror stories, Dave, with drinking. I mean, it was fun at one time. It started to be fun,
Yeah.
with your friends, hanging out, uh, going crazy, acting like your Dukes of Hazard. That's how we were. We went to farmers' fields, all kinds of shit. I got in a lot of trouble, man.
For
Um,
sure. And you say you got in a lot of trouble, and you said you started drinking, and yeah,
well,
drinking, it starts out always fun, but eventually you become dependent on the
yeah,
substance.
right,
And I believe you're a proponent of quitting sobriety. I believe at some point the addiction became so bad that it led you to becoming homeless. You always talk about, your time being homeless. Do you mind
yeah.
opening up a little bit about that and telling us how you became homeless, how long you were homeless, and
Well,
and what you did to survive?
well, you hear the trains out here. I say this is the ghetto out here. It is, man. I hear gunshots all the time. Drones coming in and out. No, I'm just kidding. But I hear all kinds of shit out here. Um, I I was a biker. I rode bikes for years, man. I had three Harley Davidsons. I had a house in Meriden, Connecticut, and I had it, dude. I had money out the yin yang because I broke my back years ago and I got my Social Security disability. And back then, they used to give you like multiple years. Now I think they give you like 2 years.
Too,
Back
I
then,
heard.
they used to give you like 5 or 6 or something like that years. So I got that retro. I was always making great money, man. I was a printer by trade. I was a pressman, running big web printing company, big presses. Dude, these things are 200 feet long, 4 stories high, man. And then
Wow.
paper comes through, and it folds it. It comes out like the comic sections in the papers. The old
That
papers used to have the coupons. We did that,
that'll explain why you knew about quad graphics here in Milwaukee. You mentioned quad
Yeah.
a bunch, so that makes sense.
I still get offers once in a while for printing companies, man. Out your way once in a while off
Mm.
Facebook. They say, "Hey, you want to come out of retirement?" God, I wish I could. I was a workaholic. I worked, dude. What I make today with my Social Security is what I used to make in 2 days of overtime when I started printing in the '90s. So it just shows you have to live a different way, man. When
Yeah.
you're not making any money. You're not, and I don't sell drugs. I don't do any of that shit. Um, I worked the 12 steps of AA, man, a couple times, and I'm not in any way. That's my own choice. I found spirituality and I found something else. I found a Harley Davidson. I found a road in Meriden, Connecticut. I found the old Meriden Wallingford Hospital, and somebody rammed me into that Meriden Wallingford Hospital, going between 80 and 100 miles an hour on my Harley, man, full size dresser. Okay, I ended up in the hospital for 6 months.
Wow.
I had strokes. My left leg was ripped off. My right ankle was ripped off. My lungs were imploded. Okay, I had 24 staples in my head. My head was open like an egg. So what they did is they put me in a coma. So I was in a coma for 6 weeks, and I woke up. I had it all before all this accident had. I got ran by whatever point you want to call it. I'm not gonna. You know what I'm saying? I got
I
run off
do.
the road. I got run off the road by a gang out here, and I couldn't prove nothing. Whatever. So, anyways, I wake up. I'm in St. Mary's Hospital in Waterbury. You know who's around me? A bunch of girls from my high school. I haven't seen them in years. My son got a hold of them, and they took care of me, man. I couldn't
Wow.
believe it. There was like, it wasn't 1 or 2 days where regardless if I was in a coma or not, they were with me. And they were also Wiccans. I was a Wiccan at one time too. They used to call me the Green Man. Um, I'm not into the Wiccan. I'm into spirituality, but I'm not into that. Uh, I was never into witchcraft. I was turned off by it. Let's just say I dealt with it a little bit, but I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I'm not into it anymore. It really hasn't done any good for my life, and I see it now. Um, you could be a spiritual man. Religion, see, I don't. When you're in the program like I was searching out a higher power. A higher power could be uh, the door. You open the door, you go in the other side. That's your higher power for the day. It could be anything. It could be a
Exactly.
rock. If that rock stops you from drinking or taking the first drug, the first drink and the first drug is going to kill you, especially an addict, man. You're
I
done.
agree.
It starts with the first one. I'm not saying I didn't, Dave. I'm not saying I haven't drank in over the years, man, because I have. Um, maybe once a year, maybe 2 beers, maybe, and that's close. Because after this motorcycle accident, the obsession to use was lifted. I haven't had the obsession to use since that motorcycle accident. Since my brain got cut, and that was God's way of kicking me in the ass and saying, Mike, stop it, slow down, relax, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a shame I was in a coma. Um, but anyways, I came back. Uh, I got released to Gaylord Hospital in Wallingford, Connecticut, which that's a big place where all the people with money go for because I was beat down, man. And my leg, I'm not even gonna pull it out. My leg is all titanium and screws, and it sucked. It really sucked.
Wow.
I had to learn how to walk, talk, sleep. I had to go through um, high school again at Gaylord Hospital. So I had like a college course every day. And for me to pass the test, a lady had me by a rope, and then she let the rope go. And sure enough, I walked, dude. I haven't walked in, oh my God, in months. I didn't walk in 6 months, but I'm walking again. And all of a sudden, I just started crying and say, "Thank you, God." You know.
It's a
Um,
powerful feeling. I can only
yeah.
imagine. But
Yeah.
you said
But
you
a lot.
had it all. You said you had everything
Yeah.
before your accident. But then you said you became homeless though, Mike. Where does
Yeah.
the homelessness enter all of this? You
Well.
said you got that back pay, you were doing fine, you get the
Yeah.
accident. Where does the homelessness hit? How
Well.
did you lose it and so forth?
Um. I sold the house and I only made like $2,000 or $3,000 off the house in Meriden because I come out of when I come home after a motorcycle accident. Um, there's squatters in my house. They destroyed my house. They pulled all the copper out of it. Uh,
Wow.
there was there was my it was in my life was ruined, man. Um, I didn't know where to go, man, and eventually, uh, well, quickly, I ended up just living in my truck. I lived in a limousine at one time, man. I bought this badass limousine. I lived in that, and that was cool, man. I loved it. But uh, that's stuff. Stuff don't mean shit. If you don't
I
have
agree.
a place to put your head, it doesn't matter if you're drunk, sober, or not. Um, it doesn't matter. You really don't. I was, you know, luckily I had all those years, Dave. I had 15 years clean and sober, man, out here in the streets of Meriden. Um, but then I was still sober the whole time, living in the woods, living in a tent at the end. Uh,
Yeah. I did the same thing. I actually, when I was homeless, I was living in a tent in woods on public land, and I
yeah,
know what that's like. I understand what it's
excuse me.
like. At 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, hearing the skunks and the raccoons scratching around your tent, and
Yeah,
I know that feeling, and being hopeless and addicted on top of that. Even
hmm,
if you weren't addicted, that lifestyle being forced upon you, people go
yeah,
camping because they want to go camping. Imagine
right,
if that's what you have to do all day, every day. It becomes tiresome, especially when, it's 90
yeah.
degrees outside, it's
Or
raining outside. Yeah.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin is You know, must be freezing, dude, man.
Oh, it's
Um,
horrible. It
you know,
outside camping. Luckily, we have laws, or not laws. The shelters open at a certain temperature, so if it's below
yeah,
freezing outside, a lot of churches, it's called emergency shelter. I don't know if you have that.
warming centers, like
Warming
warming centers.
centers,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
and
got them out here too.
they help. Those really help.
Yeah.
And so, how long were you living the tent life, the homeless life, not the van
Uh,
life, not living in the limos, the actual in a tent
well,
homeless?
what happened was, Dave, a buddy of mine found out that I was living like I was living, and he lived in Herkimer, New York, and they got Herkimer. Uh, the diamond places are out there, the mines. You know, Herkimer, New York. I lived there for 2 years. Get this, I lived on Indian, a Mohawk Indian burial ground site.
Wow.
All right. I lived in a little RV, a little tiny camper with my two dogs. And this is Sasha. Okay, that's my pit bull, and the other one, Serenity, is my Chihuahua, and that's one of the main reasons why I lived off the land because I wasn't going to get rid of my dogs. I refused to.
That's a
Everybody's like,
common, yeah, that's common. A lot of people refuse to go to shelters or anything like
yeah,
that because they can't take their pets with them.
yeah, but uh, going fast. I spent 14 months living in the woods in South Meriden, Connecticut, on the Quinnipiac River, and but listen to this. I set it up nice. I was living large, man. I got an ice fishing tent. Well,
Nice.
first I had a couple tents that actually they caught on fire when I was trying to sleep, and I had an ice fishing tent. I set that up. I had propane heaters. I set up like a log cabin style half tent. It was awesome. I had like a little fishing dock I made. I made stairs, nice stairs. I had a garden back there, dude. I had
Wow.
it's all on my YouTube channel. If you go on my YouTube channel, you could see me cutting down trees, like lumberjack style trees out in the middle of nowhere on the river, because I cut it up, I split it up, so I could live. You know, I had a fire going 24/7. You know, all the time. I made one of those their oxygen stoves or whatever. I got a 55-gallon drum. I cut it out underneath where the oxygen goes through, and it stays
Wow.
lit all the time, man. Yeah, and I would fish off the thing, but in the winter, man, it sucked. Regardless how many heaters you have, it sucked. But I made the best out of it. I got spring water, um, and the only one dude that ever helped me out back then is my ex-wife's husband.
Oh wow.
He's a, yeah,
That's weird.
he's a real born again Christian. That man, I'm telling you, he stepped up to the plate. He would actually bring me to my doctor's appointment, because I go to the doctor's every month because my body's is shot. You know, I actually
Yeah.
broke my neck too, and dude, he helped me out like crazy. He was there like twice a month. He would come pull his truck, drop this stuff off. I would pick it up out of the tree, go back with the dogs. I made a dog sled. The dogs are pulling me around. My two dogs.
Just
You
staying
know what?
busy out in the woods, you know,
Yeah.
just
I fished all the time. I caught these eels. I caught eels that bigger than your arm, that big.
wow.
I caught smallmouth bass back there, trout. I ate them, you know. Um, Dude, I was living the can't, you know. I was like, that's where I started calling myself the bearded fisherman. Before that, I was called. I was on Facebook. I used to do the Facebook thing. I used to call my channel High on Fishing, New England style. Okay, I'm not going to say why, but
No,
I'm a. Let's just put it this way. I used to be on 13 different meds when I got out of the hospital,
makes
and
sense.
since cannabis was in my life, I'm only on two meds now today.
Okay.
Okay,
That's good.
so that's pretty cool, man. I never had a dirty urine, and I never had nothing with my pain management. Everything's been good for over 10 years with them. You know,
That's
always
amazing.
I always had it in my head, but um, regardless to say, I know God took the addiction away from me. God took it away from me. That day I hit the wall on my Harley, he he took that away from me. He took my weight problem away from me. I'm 200 pounds lighter than I ever been right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, you know, you were talking about that God took that away from you. You know, I've been sober now for many years, but one thing that I'm just speaking from the heart right now. One thing that I still struggle with is using dreams. Do you
Yeah.
ever find yourself still struggling with dreams where you're
All the
using?
time. Drunk dreams? Yeah, man. I had one last night. I'm a dumbass. I have my I don't have a computer or anything. All my shit got stolen not too long ago. So I have two. I have one iPhone. I have a Galaxy phone, and I have a TV hooked up to Wi-Fi, so I can watch the videos or always comment. So I'm sitting on the cell phone, and I can't see the cell phone because I have bad eyesight. So I do everything in capital letters,
Oh,
and
that's why. Okay.
yeah, a lot of people used to get mad at me. You know, you know they get mad. They get mad at whatever they want, man. Regardless, you know, I noticed that you can never
Yeah.
make. I mean, but that's the thing. I've spoken. I've spoken at. You ever hear of High Watch Farms in Kent, Connecticut?
No, I haven't.
Well, it's a big rehab for the stars, man. Um,
Okay.
they don't take any assurance or none of that. It's just like big leagues. And
Private pay.
they asked me for my area to speak. So I got out there. They gave me a microphone. It's roast beef. It's a Friday night. They're having roast beef. Um, and there's like 100 people on the tables, man. I had to share my experience, strength, and hope with people. You know, telling them
That's
there's a
amazing.
better way. There's a better way of living, man. There's a lot better way of living than getting sloppy drunk or high all day. And that's one thing, Dave.
Yeah.
I just like to tell everybody the only problem I ever had was with alcohol. I never had any trouble with drugs. I never even smoked weed until I was 42 years old. That was when I first started smoking weed.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah. I never, I
14 for
never,
me.
I never did cocaine, heroin, but all my friends did. I lived the lifestyle. I lived, you know the
I
lifestyle,
do.
man.
It
Um,
sounds like when you were talking about the squatters when you came back from The
Yeah.
hospital. That just sounds to me like, oh yeah, he was for sure living the lifestyle. You let one
Yeah.
friend stay at your house while you're at the hospital. He lets a friend. They let a friend. Next thing you know, your copper's being pulled out of your house, and
Yeah.
you come back to a bona fide flop house. You know,
Yeah.
and that's usually just how it goes as a part of that lifestyle. But what I
I
found
lost it all.
fascinating, Mike, was when you were talking about, living out, in the tent down by the river, and you said you have it all on your YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
you said that is when the Bearded Fisherman was born. Now, guys, I am
Yeah.
gonna encourage you all to subscribe to the Bearded Fisherman. You have a very unique YouTube presence. You've been doing it for many years now.
Yeah. Long
What
time.
made you say, "Hey, I'm gonna film this and I'm gonna put this on the internet"? And when
Yeah.
did you feel like, hey, this is something that I can really do and I enjoy doing?
Um, Before I tell you, you're gonna have to deal with. I might lose it a little bit. Um, the reason why I started this was um, I met a girl in recovery that we ended up hitting it off, and we had a son named Damien. It didn't work out, but I had to fight for everything in my life and fight sober to get visitation, all that. I still have legal custody of my son Damien. Uh, you know, and me and my ex are great. We're great parents. We treat our son with respect. Everything was great until the last like 3 or 4 months. He's got really sick, and he's been through this surgery, having a tumor taken out of his neck, to going to the Boston Children's Hospital. Um, and I haven't last I heard, I haven't talked to him, and it's been a long time. It's always through his mom. He has autism as well, so it's hard, and he shuts down. And,
Yeah.
I'm not really talking to him right now, which is killing me. But um, another beautiful thing that came out of all this, all right, is I started talking to my daughter again recently,
That's
and
amazing.
yeah, and I haven't talked to my daughter in years because we butt heads. And I never thought I would see the day where I would tell her that she is exactly like her dad, a survivor. Regardless of what's going on, I'll figure out a way out of it. And I was hitting my knees on a daily basis in that tent saying, God, either help me or take me, you know? And I meant it. I meant it, Dave. I didn't want to be
I know
around.
that feeling, yeah, so I
It
know what
sucked.
you're talking about.
It sucks, It sucks that feeling. And that's the feeling I've been feeling lately with my son Damien. And I'm all alone here. I have nobody to help me at all. Either I'll walk, I'll take a bus. I've been holding off, trying to do a charity for myself to buy a car to be able to get my independence back again. You know, I'll be 55 March 3rd, and I'm supposed to be living my golden years, but I've been living my worst years the past years. And I don't know how they look at me, but I look at myself. I'm proud of what I accomplished. I'm proud of where I got. It was hard, man, and I also have medical problems. Um, I got a let's just say I got something going on pretty bad, and I have to go have surgery done. And even with the surgery, and I was supposed to have that surgery, Dave, 2 years ago, man. And I've been putting. When I was in the hospital after the wreck, I had 12 or 13 surgeries, and I'm afraid of doctors now, man. I really am. I don't want to have anything to do with doctors at all, um, unless I have to. And it just boils down to the point where I'm trying to get ahead. I'm trying to use my YouTube as a stepping stone. Also, I'm trying to use um, social media as a recovery program, basically. If that makes any sense to you, Dave.
It does. I often say it all the time. I
Yeah,
use my chat, my viewers, as a support system. Not only do they help me get through the day whenever I have using thoughts or anything of that sort,
yeah,
I take it right to my subscribers and I'm honest. And I find that being honest with them not only fosters a closer, tight knit environment, but it's a trustworthiness and um, authentic. That is the key thing, is to be authentic and true to yourself online. And I think
yeah,
in your channel you've shown the down and out part of you, all the way to the point where you've been helped by the government and you are now in a housing program. You may say you're in the ghetto, but you are
yeah,
in subsidized housing. uh
yeah.
that is one thing you no longer have to worry about, is where you're going to rest your head. It
Well,
allows you to
yeah.
foster a sense of recovery. You don't have to worry. I mean, besides the using thoughts, you don't have to worry about the drinking much anymore. How
Yeah.
much has the housing helped your mental health and helped you overall, or do you miss the river?
Well, part of me does, believe it or not, the river, because I'm in a skyscraper now. Uh, I'm going to dox myself. I live right behind the police department in Meriden, Connecticut. I'm doxing myself. That's what I told you, Dave. I want to have a doxing party. You know, they actually doxed me. They doxed me like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, man. They were
We'll
showing
get to that.
my old house that I lost, saying, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" La la la. It doesn't matter to me, man. It don't. You want to dox me? I don't care. I got a record. I got a bad record, Dave. I got DUIs. I got a really bad record, man. My last arrest was like 3 years ago. I got jumped. I got jumped by like 3 or 4 guys where I was living, and then I had to fight back. I defended myself. I got all the felony charges dropped. Felony, they all got dropped. But I ended up having. Well, I had to pay like $300, something like that. And the judge says I could have it expunged, so I could have it expunged now. But it doesn't really matter. I could care less. Um,
Yeah.
I live
Well,
I live a I live a clean life, man. You
what
know.
I'm going to say to that, Mike, is there are some people online that weaponize your record.
Yeah.
They weaponize personal information. And all I'm going to say is criminal justice is a multi-billion dollar industry for the government. There are millions upon millions of Americans who have had incidents or run-ins with the law.
Yeah.
As long as it is not, in my eyes, anything that involves children or sexual nature,
Hell yeah.
it, it is irrelevant,
Yeah.
because how
Absolutely.
many millions of Americans have had DUIs? How many millions of Americans have had fights? How many
Yeah.
millions of Americans have had that drunken night out at the bar where you just couldn't be shut down and you ended up doing some stupid shit you couldn't help yourself doing? So the people on the internet who weaponize all that, I feel sorry for them. Uh, and if they
Amen.
can't find something on you, they go to your family. And in
Right.
your case, you've just openly spoke about your family. You've openly spoke about your son. You've openly spoke about your daughter. So what
Yeah.
you just did, Mike, is you took away all the power
The power.
that these doxers had over you. Now, what I want to talk about these doxers, because you are involved online in a community that I am involved in, where we
Right.
are we advocate for a woman and her ex-husband and her daughter, who in our eyes is being cyber stalked by an online content creator with over 700,000 subscribers. And
Absolutely.
you sympathize with the family that is in our eyes being cyber stalked. So that is making you a target. Can you
Right.
kind of speak to what you've had to endure since openly coming out and sticking up for that family?
Um. Like I said before, I got doxxed a while ago. They talk shit about me on other channels. Um. And I was friends. See, I had friends on the inside of Otter Creek, man. A guy from Connecticut. I had friends out there, man. I don't, and that's because I opened up my heart to these people. to different people out there, because I understood how it was to be the underdog and be down and out and having a sick kid. I still understand that to this day, and it hurts me, dude. It hurts me more, and I just have to speak my mind and don't get violent with anything, and because it's not worth it. It's not worth it to me. It's worth the freedom of speech, man. I'm also into those audit videos. I watch a lot of
First
those.
Amendment auditors.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that too.
I've been watching those for years. The guys out of California, where they take the camera from them and stuff like that.
It's important to know your rights.
Yeah.
I say that every day. It's important to know the laws and important to know your rights.
Yeah.
But the important thing about those First Amendment auditors is you have to know what state they're in, because laws change from state to state, and you could be miseducating yourself if you go off of what they're saying in those videos, because that might only be true in Connecticut or Ohio or Florida. So you have to be very conscious that the laws that they are speaking about are applicable to where you stay. That is my only
statutes. They're statutes.
Statutes,
and like the federal buildings, you know, that's public property, man, and you can't.
Then you're dealing with federal law, yeah.
Yeah, you can't trespass the eyes. I mean, what's the difference between taking a camera and videotaping a cop, or thinking about it in your head, going home and drawing it if you're talented enough? What's the difference? You can't trespass the eyes. That means you could videotape anything you want. And I actually videotaped cops before. I got on my video on a couple of my shorts, I think. I videotaped the cop. He was cool. He says, "Oh, can I help you?" You know. But I've done that, you know. But and then I back off, and then I say, "Is it all worth me getting all upset with these cops out here?" I had problems with these cops already, and it's not worth it. And you know, I'm getting older. It's not worth it. It's not worth for me to miss sleep off of it. You know.
Yeah.
And dude, I've been through. I broke my back like 15 years ago. Then I got in a motorcycle accident. Then, like 2 years later, that's why I have the beard right now, because I got burnt. I had 3rd and 4th degree burns all over my head. I had burns the size of potatoes. A propane tank exploded in my face, and it burnt me really, really bad, dude. And I lived being homeless, living in a truck, with I looked like Freddy Krueger. My face was so burnt, it was bad. My ears are black. It took a whole year for my ears to heal. This just happened in the last like 3 or 4 years. That happened to me. That's why I keep the beard now. And my son Damien tells me, he says, "You're never gonna cut that beard off, Daddy. I love your beard." So that's why I keep it too. You know,
nice.
Out of respect for my son Damien. I have 2 other kids, and I love them to death, man. You know, and regardless of what's going on in the world, they're your kids, man. You gotta love them for life. You know, and they're part of you. They're part of you. You can't just walk away. You can't do that. You know, just because I'm having a little issues right now, my kids know that if they ever needed me, I would be right there. Vice versa. If I ever needed them, they would be right here, you know. And they're also martial artists. Both of them. Both of them are black belts in Taekwondo. So
wow.
Yeah, they're very tough. And I used to go to tournaments all around the state of Connecticut. My son was fighting. He was 8, 9 years old, doing Taekwondo kicks, spinning back kicks. He was on a Taekwondo team, man. They were winning trophies. He won grand nationals. I mean, he was really good. My son, he was tough. He was a tough kid.
Wow.
And, yeah, it was awesome back in the day. It was great. You know.
That's awesome.
I mean, I enjoyed all my kids growing up. I loved it. You know, I had a lot of fun with my kids, man. Believe me, I had so much fun. If I could go back in time, I would do it all over again. Exactly. Well, I'll change a couple things, but oh my God, I enjoyed the shit out of my kids. I really did.
So Mike, back to YouTube. Tell us a little bit about the Bearded Fisherman YouTube channel. Are you monetized?
No, I don't have enough watch hours, and I'm not really looking to get monetized. Um, but I think it might be in my best interest if I do that because it might help
Yeah,
me out. It might help me out buy a car and getting me my independence back again that I lost eight
I
years
agree.
ago. 8 years
And
ago,
you
I
can
lost not 9 years ago. It was 9 years ago I lost my independence, man.
and you
Um,
can still make some money while being on social security
yeah,
disability. So it's a good
yeah,
it's not a stable source of income, but it's a good supplemental source, and you get
yeah.
to do it from home. I've watched some of your shorts. I've watched some of your videos.
I know. I
Very
just
compelling, very entertaining.
I go wacko. Last summer I met this guy in Meriden. He's a cool dude. He owns a little smoke shop, and I used to sit there and talk to him here and there because I took my e-bike everywhere. And his name's Lee. He's a Chinese guy. We sit and talk. And oh man, I had a lot of fun over the summer, man. I had a lot of fun. Uh, but then it's hard to be alone in an apartment all the time. It's hard. But I got my dogs. Before my motorcycle accident, I had 6 rescue dogs. 6. And
Wow.
this one is the last one of the ones I had before my motorcycle accident. Her name's Serenity, like the Serenity Prayer, Dave. You
I
know,
know. That's what I was thinking.
that's my favorite prayer, man.
I
You
keep it
know,
on my wall right behind me.
yeah, yeah. I'm getting that tattooed on my bald head, but no, just kidding.
Hey, that's a good way to remember it.
Yeah, I'm I got a lot of native work. Um, I'm not gonna
That's
say,
awesome.
but I rode with people years ago. Um, but we're going back. We're going back. Freak. I never got into a gang. I never wanted to. Um, I knew people you know, in motorcycle clubs, and dude, they were all great to me. I used to go, like I rode. Stop it, doggies. I rode on a for the Wounded Warriors. I rode my Harley in Stratford, Connecticut. We raised a bunch of money. It was some lawyer did it, uh, and that was cool, man. I entered my bike, in a contest, but like I said, I have trouble talking sometimes, um, because of this brain injury I had, and I really have to think of what I'm going to say before I say it, like a promo in wrestling.
Yeah,
I have I have to like time the way I speak, um, mean what I say what I mean, but don't say it mean. If that makes any sense.
I like that. That's a good saying. I like that.
That's an AA saying.
Yeah.
And Dave, there was AA meetings out here. They were hardcore, man. You would think they're like some kind of other planet. Some of them. Um, and there was another one called Pigs in Space in Middletown, Connecticut. That was an NA meeting, but
Yeah.
I
That's what
ended up
I partake in. NA.
yeah I was a sober house manager at one time. Um, I was doing good in my sobriety. It's still strong today. It's very
Yeah.
strong. Um, you could look at my refrigerator. I don't drink or nothing. I'm not saying I haven't had it, but in the last, I don't. That's what I don't want to say. Totally tell people, Dave, because you got to guard the newcomer. Um,
Yeah.
somebody that's been in recovery for a while, you got to word. You got to word what you say, man. You really do, because you could set somebody off. And
So true.
how would you like that on your conscience if you set somebody off uh, for a relapse, and then they don't know how much they can handle anymore, so they do a bag of dope, and
Yeah.
they overdose because of that, because they don't know. That's what happens.
Yeah. I
Um,
have a hard time sitting in on step one meetings these days, first
yeah,
step meetings. There's so many, horror stories
yeah,
and it's hard. Personally, that is hard for me. When you see so many people so fresh into recovery, it's hard for me sometimes just to see, and then you have to be very careful about what you say, and it's a important thing that they got to that meeting in the first place, and the last thing
right,
you want to do is say something or do something to not make them want to come back. But it's all about keep coming back. You got to keep coming
Yeah.
back.
That's what we
And
did at Pigs in Space. All the guys who jumped up and down, keep coming back, keep
yeah,
coming back. That shit. All right,
yeah,
sorry
for
about
sure.
that.
No worries, brother.
That was in Middletown, Connecticut, where that big gas company exploded a few years ago.
Yeah.
That and a lot of people. I don't know if I forget if they died or not, but their houses got totaled, and the Connecticut River's over there too. And that's another thing. I fished my whole life, man. I fished since I was 6 years old. My mom taught me how to fish. You know, I lost my parents. I lost my mom at 22 years old, and it sucked. My mom
Yeah.
taught me everything. My mom was like my dad to me, man. My mom taught me, and I was in Boy Scouts, and I learned how to live off the land. You know, I actually was gonna apply for one of those shows at one time, Deadliest Catch and stuff like that. I wanted to go to one of those shows, man. I wanted to, because I lived 8-9 years of being homeless. I didn't care, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted
For
to
sure.
do anything. So I started a YouTube channel while I was homeless, and I just want, you know what? It's also to prove to people, to actually prove them that it could be done, and prove to other people that just because you're homeless doesn't mean you're helpless, man. Um, I was living in Walmart parking lot, dude, and it was Christmas Day, and I was frying chicken on a gas grill, frying it with oil, peanut oil I bought from inside the lake quarters, and feeding the homeless people around me. This happened to me
Wow.
This happened 4 or 5 years ago to me, Dave. And the way I give back to the program, the way I work my sobriety is I try not to focus on myself as much, and I try to focus on other people, helping other people out. Um,
Okay.
and that's another reason why I also comment. Uh, Most of my comments are all like hype, you know, peace
Mm.
from the Northeast. You know, I mean, I hope everybody gets along. I really do. I hope everybody just goes to their corner and and, and goes on vacation for a little while and just, why is it? It's not all worth the aggravation, man. You know,
For
it
sure.
takes years off your health, man.
I
You know,
agree.
years. It's not worth
You
it.
know, as we're gonna start winding down here, I'm gonna ask you one last question. What are your thoughts on that YouTuber? And then we're gonna close out. You know, that is what brought us together was this YouTuber.
Right.
I'm not gonna mention any names,
Yeah.
but a
I
YouTuber
won't
kind
either.
of a
I won't
YouTuber
either.
brought us
But
together. What do
right.
you think about this YouTuber?
Uh, I think this is my own opinion. I think this person is something's wrong with him in the head. I see an addiction a lot. Addiction doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol. Addiction could be the mind and other things. Addiction could be stalking. Addiction could be this, that. It doesn't matter. All I want to say is if somebody has that problem, find a higher power, like I did. And you could change the worst hardened criminals in the world. You could change them, and they could find recovery, and they could live a better life, and they could help out others in the right way, not the wrong way. They don't have to stalk people. They don't have to degrade them. They don't have to bully them. Um, I just like with the wars and stuff. I just want everybody to get along, and I think you should just stop, man, please, um, because you're getting so many other people involved. Um, that I shouldn't even know about this story. I really shouldn't. I loved you, dude. I loved your stuff years ago, man. I remember living in my truck, watching your videos, laughing, being exciting, commenting on you. And then I made the wrong comment. I don't remember what it was, but then I was on your shit list. But karma goes both ways, my man, too. Karma could be good things, but karma could be bad things. I know you're joking about karma. Don't joke about karma, man. Karma will take down the best of us.
So
Look at
true.
me. I was up here, bro. I was up there, and look what happened. A split second, and I was going to the police station because a guy pulled pulled something out on me. Well, I was riding a Harley Davidson in Meriden, the city. And anyways, I hope somebody got something good out of this, Dave. I really do, because uh, we've been messing to have like a video for a long time. And look what I got right here. I won this, or somebody donated this to me. That's nice.
Oh wow, that's a
A little
crystal.
stone, yeah, yeah. I got it right here.
Nice.
That's my warrior strength. And
That's so awesome.
you know, needless to say, I gave the other hearts. I won 2 hearts from Robbie, and I gave them to my son Damien before he went to the hospital to have his thing taken out of his neck. And he carries them with him. And there's one looks like a pink heart and a blue heart, and I gave them both to my son Damien, and he loves them. You know, I plan on giving this to him too, the rock, when I get over to see him. Oh,
That's awesome.
you know about the rock, by the way?
So beautiful. This community that has
Hey,
came together and helped
Dave,
everybody.
Dave,
Yeah.
do you know about the rock?
No, the
It
rock.
doesn't matter what you know.
Well done. Well done.
You remind me of Corny, Jeff.
Yeah, you always called me corny. I
Yeah,
like that. Jim
corny.
Cornette.
Jim
I'm a big
Cornette,
fan of
that's
his.
Great. I've been following the wrestling for God since I was a kid. I met all the old timers, man. Samoans, the Fuji and Saito, Don Morocco, Tito Santana, Bob Backlund, Ken Patera, Hulk Hogan. They used to work out at the Acme Mall in Hamden, Connecticut. And my aunt lived right around there. And I met them all. I met Rocky Johnson. I met The Rock. I hung out with The Rock for like 2 years. I wasn't best friends with or nothing, but he used to live near my cousin, and we used to like play in the fields, like football and stuff. And Dwayne The Rock Johnson used to go for a couple summers, used to hang out there once in a while, you know?
Wow.
I actually tried to get a hold of him on, I forget where it was, when I was homeless. You know, like, Dwayne, do you remember me? Help me. But he don't remember me, man. This is when we were kids, you know?
For sure.
I'm an old bastard. You got I'm just kidding. No, but I hope I can start living my golden years and just, you know, I'm trying. As soon as I get a vehicle and everything's cool, then I'm sure I'll get my independence back again. Because I also said to myself I was never going to drive again after the motorcycle accident. Because I had nightmares for years. Speaking of drunk dreams, I had nightmares for years that I was falling off cliffs, getting in motorcycle accidents. All my body was being broken in half. I'd wake up, my back would hurt me. Oh my God. It's still terror to me. Just thinking about it. I got pictures from that accident, man. You know? And it's gross. I have pictures me in a wheelchair and my son Damien jumping up to me and hugging me with a skeleton around Halloween, the first time he seen me at Gaylord Hospital, Wallingford. I got that. I got it on video, man. It's awesome, you know.
That's awesome.
But I haven't had cable in 15 years, man. I've been off of YouTube, you know. And this is the most I got into it is now. And I'm just hoping that, you know, I can get my channel rocking and rolling. It takes forever to do these, to get like watch hours and stuff, you know, because I never took it seriously.
You got to take it seriously. You got to.
I don't have a camera. I go off the phones, but you
just
know
as
what?
good.
Thomas Collins does it. So I mean,
yeah,
you know. And I was talking to him, dude. I was talking to Thomas Collins, me, you know, one on one. I talked to Bruce one on one a few times, but by accident because I hit some wrong button and all of a sudden Bruce is on the phone. You know, I'm like, oh, how you doing? You know, he's a good dude. He's a good dude, man.
I'm gonna be interviewing him later tonight.
Yeah.
Or this afternoon.
I say he kinetic fusion, like having a concussion, kinetic concussion. That's what I said. You know, I'd make jokes with him. You know?
For sure.
He's a good dude. You know, and you got to give him slack. You know, everybody got all these other channels. Give him a little slack, man. He's doing his job to the best of his ability. I did my job to the best of my ability when I was working. You know, you guys do it too. You guys, even the other side, you do your best job as you can. You know, with what you got, you do the best you can. You know, and I agree with that 100%. Just
for sure.
Yeah, man. Um, there's some good people, man. I met some good people out that way in Florida, and I know. But to back up real quick, I also got open invitations on other channels out there too. The Iguana Man. Um, there's a there's also oh my God, what's his name? There's like 3 or 4 videos I got invited out there. Oh yeah, Monster Mike, a guy is. He's like a little UFC black dude. He has dreadlocks. He invited me on his channel. Um,
Nice.
yeah, there's a few of them, but like I said, I got to get a vehicle and I got to get established again, so I could get my freedom back again. You know, because I don't. I live a lonely life, man. I don't go out to the bars. I don't go out with nothing. This is my social media is my life basically. You know, and
Yeah.
I'll admit it. It is. You know, but I don't just watch this saga, man. You know, I'm watching other things all the time.
Nothing wrong with that. I see
Yeah,
you
I
always
got
send me stuff to watch, and it's always pretty good stuff. So
yeah, yeah. It's some. I find some funny stuff. I've been finding. I'm not getting political, not, but I find some Donald Trump like eating weird like AI and going like this and
yeah,
stuff like that, shooting people, making videos. That AI is crazy, man.
it is. It's
Uh,
going places. That's for sure.
Imagine if they had it during all this. Oh my God. No, I mean if they had it really high tech and nobody could tell the difference, the AI.
Hmm.
Imagine that. I
That'd be
wonder if they
nuts,
do
man.
that sometimes.
You never know.
I
Well, Mike,
I would
it's been
never
a
know, man.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure
Yeah.
having you on. We
Yeah, you as
basically
well.
talked for an hour.
Yeah.
Guys, subscribe to the Bearded Fisherman Mike. I will make sure
Yeah,
his
man.
link will be down below.
Thank
Peace in
you,
the
man.
Northeast, right,
Peace
Bearded?
to the Northeast, the bearded fisherman, regardless of where you are, regardless of what side you're on, regardless. Come on, guys, get it together. Let's get along and love each other, man. It's not worth it. It's not. Look what happened to me. It could happen to anybody. Peace from the Northeast, the bearded fisherman. I love you.